You are Locked On Rockets Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is time to recognize facts. It is a Fact Friday on the Rockets Postcast. And the first fact that we will recognize tonight is that the Houston Rockets are back and for real. What another fun night at Toyota Center. It's nice to be having fun again, watching your Rockets. I'm having a blast. I know that you guys are having a blast. We're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about all the good, there's no bad, all the good from tonight, all the good from this fast start to the season. And we will, of course, look ahead to the next game coming up Sunday against the Chicago Bulls. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Rockets Postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. So hello and welcome to this Locked On Rockets Postcast. I am your host, Michael Connor. If you are new to our channel, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate that. I am your host for all these shows. I have also been with you guys on the radio for years, and this is where I am now, right here, Locked On Sports Houston. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and come on back after every single game. This is what we do. We break it down, what we see out there on the floor tonight. Tonight's game was more proof that they are actually legit. You know, is there going to be a portion of this season where the Rockets come out and struggle? Of course. 82-game season. Every team's going to go through a lull at some point. We're talking about a basketball team now that is 5 games over 500 for the first time in 4 years. That's incredible to think about. It's been a long process. Is this a championship contender right now? No, of course not. But this is a team that at this moment, if they got into the playoffs, they could at least make life hell for somebody. And it starts defensively. And what they did the last 7 of the 8 previous quarters that they played against the Clippers. The first quarter of the game on Wednesday, the Clippers came out and went nuts. And after that, the Rockets defense just put the clamps on. Did it again tonight. I thought it was the most indicative thing of the night tonight. Now, the Clippers aren't very good. I don't care what anybody says. You know, they've got 2 old wash guys. One of them hadn't even played this year. Who knows if he's alive? And the other one is more worried about hanging out with girls at certain establishments, probably. He probably did a lot of that the last couple of nights since he was back home in Houston, which is still his home. And then a bunch of other guys. They got some nice players, but like they're not going to be a great team. They are part of what the Rockets needed this season was some teams in the West to take steps back. But if the Rockets play this level of defense that they've played this season, Jabari Smith had the quote at halftime going in on the TV broadcast. You know, we're the best defensive team in basketball when we're going like this. And he's not telling a lie. And the way that they play defensively, the intensity and the energy that they have is absolutely what the best team in basketball would do. And when you play like that every night, you are a contender. You are a team that can go out and make some noise. And by the way, they started the NBA Cup, baby. The historic NBA Cup. Most prized trophy in sports outside of Larry O'Brien. It's O'Brien, right? Why am I doubting myself on this one? It's the Larry O'Brien trophy. It's not. Yes, the Larry O'Brien. For some reason, I was thinking in my head it's the Larry Bryan trophy. Like, it's not the Larry Bryan trophy. It's Larry O'Brien. That NBA Cup is coming home. You know what they could do? If you've ever seen the Rockets locker room, they've got the trophies in a case in there. They take them out, of course. And one of them's dented. If you've never seen them, one of them's dented. I think it was from Robert Ory dropping it. They've got them in a case. Just make a little space in there. Plop that NBA cup right there in the middle. That's what they're going to do. This kind of defense, they can do that kind of thing. In a tournament's a style thing, absolutely. 9-4 now in the season. And so many guys stepping up in big ways tonight. Look, Jabari Smith has his best game of the season. I've talked a lot about Jabari when we've talked about futures of players and, looking at it. I think really, first of all, credit to the entire starting unit tonight. We've done a lot of talk about how the second unit has really brought the energy and kind of charged this team. And I think it was in the last game we talked about this in the last Clippers game, about how I felt like, the second unit just brings more juice to this team than the first unit does. Tonight, that was not a concern at all. The starters tonight, look at the plus. We did the plus minus the other night. Talked about it. Talked about this. The guys at the bench were so high. Tonight, the starters, outside of Jalen Green, he played just the 22 minutes. He was a 0 in his 22 minutes. Jabari in his 35 was a plus 31. Dylan Brooks in his 33 minutes was a plus 37. Alperen Şengün in his 33 minutes was a plus 38. Fred VanVleet in his 33 minutes was a plus 39. That's wild. And that happens when, look, Jabari Smith, like I mentioned, had the game of his season so far. 28 points, 11 rebounds, and assists, a couple of steals. Dylan Brooks poured in 17, 5 of 9 from 3 tonight. Alpi, not a good shooting night, but knocked down 9 of 10 at the stripe, 16 and 10. Fred VanVleet, good to see his stroke starting to find it a little bit. He crept towards a triple-double a little bit. 18 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Also had a couple of steals in the game as well. And forgot to mention Alpi had 2 steals and 2 blocks on top of his double-double tonight. So really good game for him, even if he didn't shoot the ball very well. That's an encouraging thing, because if this team is going to be, like I'm telling you right now, 14 games in, I'm buying in. I'm here. I'm charged up. I'm ready to go. I think that they're showing us that they're taking the next step forward. And I kind of went into the season hoping to be a play-in team in the West. Maybe I'm going to be greedy. I want to be a top 6 seed. Why can't they? I feel like Oklahoma City, Golden State looks good. I'll give them that. Phoenix is probably going to hang around there because at some point, KD will come back, and he's been playing his butt off. And I actually think they got the coaching hire right. Denver's going to be there. And then there's basically 2 spots after that. The Lakers are one of them right now. The Rockets, at this moment, the Rockets would be the 3 seed in the West. That's crazy. But the rest of the teams are Memphis, Sacramento, Minnesota, the Clippers. I think Minnesota is the team to watch. They'll probably creep their way back towards it, would be my guess. They're 6-6. The Rockets at 9-4 right now would be in. Wouldn't have to worry about a play-in the West. Do you believe this can be a team that avoids the play-in at this point? Throw in the comments. Let us know. I think that they can. And I get back to the defensive effort that they've had more than anything that tells me, yes, like when you have that kind of energy, that kind of attention to detail on the defensive side of the basketball, I have no choice but to take you seriously. Have to. And the rest of the league has to start feeling the exact same way. It's nice. You know what else is nice? Being a fan of basketball in this city and having some fun again. It has been a long time. Now, last season was definitely a lot more fun, but this is real fun. Let's talk about having fun again with Rockets basketball. We'll do that here in just a brief second on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Locked On Rockets Postcast tonight. Here with you on a Friday night after the Rockets take care of the Clippers with these. And you know what? Kind of outside of their norm tonight. One of the trends for the Rockets this season has been that they'll let teams back in. Didn't happen tonight. Clippers never had a chance in this basketball game. Welcome back to this Locked On Rockets Postcast. I am your host, Michael Connor. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button tonight. That way you can come back. You'll get the notifications for when we're going to go live. We're going to be live late tonight, I think. Let's see. I'm going to get on the couch and have the U of H football game on. They're playing Arizona out in Tucson. And I plan on doing a show when that game wraps up. If you know me, you know that it is a struggle to stay up past 11:15. It's about as late as I can go these days. I'm an early riser. That's why. So plan is right now we'll do Cougs later on. I'm pretty sure I'll stay awake for it. I'll find a way. But this channel, we have Rockets, Texans, Cougs, Astros. We'll have Texans on Monday. We've got Rockets again on Sunday against the Bulls. Got a little bit of a note for you for that one on how we're going to do the show on Sunday as well. But we also have the Rockets. I should say, wherever you go get your podcast, it's free to get this show. Go search Locked On Rockets. You'll get this show and the Locked On Rockets show. That's Jackson Gatlin covering your Rockets on a daily basis. I tell you every night, and I mean it, he does a fantastic job covering the Rockets. Check out his podcast, the Locked On Rockets podcast, and subscribe to his page as well. Great stuff up there content-wise all the time when it comes to your Houston Rockets. All right, let's talk about having fun again, right? You know, we've been pretty lucky here in the city of Houston overall in my lifetime. So those of you that don't know me, I'm in my mid-30s now. So I'm a 90s baby. 90s, you know, I didn't have the Oilers. I've had nothing but Astros success. The Rockets were great before I was, aware of things. And then when I was a kid, it was the Francis era and then the Yao and T-Mac era, which we all loved, even if it was disappointing. But overall, we typically have a lot of winners in this city. We've had a lot of losers. We have. We've gone through it. We've gone through it with the Rockets the last few years. We went through it with the Texans recently. We went through it with the Astros for a long time, too. Not a long time, but for a few years of tanking. But it feels like we're kind of getting in the right direction again overall. And the Rockets are part of that, getting us in the right direction here in this city. And I think this is without a doubt, and I don't know if everybody caught it today, so I bring things up, whenever I see them, whenever I read them. I was reading the article earlier today on ESPN.com. And man, I didn't know how many. This isn't even a Jalen Green state. I didn't know how many Jalen Green truthers are out there. And yeah, if you're listening to this, I love you. Thank you for watching the video. But some of you are some real hardcore Jalen Green truthers. And I made a comment. I didn't even make a comment. I was reading from an ESPN article on an earlier show this season about literally in the article from Brian Windhorst from ESPN.com talking about a lot of people viewed the Rockets contract that they gave Jalen Green as something that was beneficial, one, for the player to get the money, but two, because the Rockets would be it'll make it very easy to use him in a trade this offseason. It's just, I'm just telling you what the article said from a person that would know. And if you don't want to believe that that's a real option, then I don't know what to tell you. I think that that's a real option. Trading him this season's probably not a real option. But there was the ESPN article today from Brian Windhorst and somebody else. I forget who else was writing it with him, kind of going back and forth, writing about early thoughts on deadline stuff. Everybody's saying that everybody's watching the Warriors and the Rockets to see what they're going to do. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Rockets do when it comes to that. They could probably go out there and find something, but they have a lot of their young guys, as they've said, off limits. Whether that's Tari Eason, Amen Thompson. That's the only two names that mentioned in the article. Is Tari and Amen. It didn't mention Jalen Green. It didn't mention Jabari Smith, because I think in the right circumstance, both those players are very tradable. Jabari Smith had the game of his season so far this year. The inconsistency of Jabari Smith offensively is an issue. But in the right kind of package, you get the kind of player that Ime Udoka wants. We all know he's movable. Jalen Green's very movable. Very, very movable. But that's just something I wanted to mention there, that, people are taking notice for what the Rockets are doing. They're being talked about, and people are expecting them to, at the very least, be out there lurking and looking to see what they can do. And if the right superstar became available that they could get this year, you just go ahead and do it now, right? You don't wait until the offseason. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I say all of that because that topic of we're having fun again. And I am. And I have had a great time watching young guys step up and start to carve out, more of a role. We saw the leap last year that Alpi made. We've seen what Tari Eason's done so far this season. We've seen the growth that Amen Thompson's had from year 1 to year 2. There is a lot to like on the roster. There is. To be a championship contender, I think we can all realistically look at it and go, yeah, of course, you're missing that superstar factor, without a doubt. That's okay. It's okay to admit it. And it's also okay to think that they can still do a lot with the roster that they have, because they can. They absolutely can. But I'm just so happy that I get to sit here and talk with you guys and talk about something that I'm enjoying, because I truly am enjoying Rockets basketball right now. 5 games over 500, as I mentioned, for the first time in 4 years. Guys, it's been a long road. We have watched some incredibly awful basketball. It truly was like the Astros when they went through their stretch of losing 100 games. It was that. Steven Silas era was rough. Think about the alternate world tonight. Remember this past offseason? We mentioned this the other night. But there was a world where everybody talked about, James Harden wanted to be back in Houston. He wanted to be back with the Rockets. That was his intention of going into free agency. He wanted to come back. And he basically sat down at the meeting and laid out that he wanted to come back and be a, 35-point-a-night guy again and lead the league and show everybody he can still do it. And the Rockets laughed it out the room. I think they took the meeting with him out of a courtesy because of what he's meant to the franchise and how he's one of the franchise's icons. They didn't take that meeting seriously. But think about that alternative world where you had James Harden and, hell, even if you still had KPJ, yikes. This is a lot more fun. This is a lot more buildable for the future. This is just, there's a lot of good going on here. And that, of course, gets back to, I think, that's how, sometimes you got to get lucky, right? And then you also have to go out there and get it. You go back and look at it. Ime Udoka would have never been available to the Rockets. He had his situation in Boston. It happened. He owned up to it. He talked about it. I don't know what goes on in his personal life now. You don't know what it goes on. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care. As long as he's keeping himself where he needs to be and focusing on what he needs to be focusing on, I'm good with it. Coaching this team the way that he coaches them. But he never would have been available to the Rockets. And then credit to the Rockets when he became available. They pounced. And that offseason, they jumped out in front of everybody. They got him. Nobody expected the Rockets to get Ime Udoka. Nobody. And here you are. You're talking about a man that's made a culture difference, a culture that's been missing for some time. You go back to the D'Antoni era. I loved Mike D'Antoni. The D'Antoni era was very much a hot mess, except for the basketball was good. And I think it was more than anything about the personality of James Harden. Nobody could rein him in, even Mike D'Antoni. And he just, whatever. That old all shucks West Virginia and Mike D'Antoni. Great guy. But they've molded this young core together. And what they're providing us right now is true fun. And I'm just going to keep saying it. I am having a blast watching the Houston Rockets do their thing on a nightly basis. Let's take a look at the next game coming up. The Chicago Bulls on Sunday. A little nugget for you guys on how we're going to do that show on Sunday. That is next here on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. All right, guys. First off, I need to tell you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. As right now, new customers can get $5 or can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Locked On Rockets Postcast Friday night. Here after another easy win over the Los Angeles Clippers, 125-104. I'm your host, Michael Connor. Thank you for stopping by our channel. If you're new to it, don't forget to keep hitting that subscribe button. Keep pounding, baby. I don't even know where we're at. I think we're pretty high on that subscribe number. You guys have been amazing. I'm so appreciative of that. Oh, we're up over, we're creeping towards 2,300 subscribers on this channel. This channel started in April. I'm very grateful. This Locked On initiative is very cool what they did. They've added to all the great shows that they have across the platforms with all the teams. And they said, hey, we want to get, live post-game shows in there. And I was grateful that they called me and asked me if I was interested in doing it. And I'm grateful to you guys making it grow so quickly. It's been fantastic. What also is fantastic is watching the Rockets win, which guess what they're going to do on Sunday? They're going to go to Chicago, which they'll go to Chicago tomorrow. But they're going to go to Chicago tomorrow, and they're going to play the Bulls on Sunday. And guess what they're going to do? They are going to win the basketball game. And we're going to do something cool on Sunday. We've not tried this yet on this channel. I was supposed to do it during the baseball season with our guy from Denver, but our schedules didn't work to do it. So we have a cool ability to do crossover shows. And they Locked On just launched the Locked On Chicago sports page. And it's actually hosted by my good friend, Joe George, who I worked with in radio forever. Love him, and I love talking sports with him. Anytime I get to do it, I jump on the opportunity. And Joe texted me the other day and asked me if I wanted to do a crossover show after Rockets and Bulls. And I said, yes. So we're going to talk about the game. It's going to be the two of us going back and forth. Don't worry. It's not going to be a Bulls show. It's not going to be a Rocket show. It's just going to be a talking about the game show. And it's going to be on both channels. If you're interested in, catching his work as well, go hit the subscribe button on his page. We're going to do that Sunday for Rockets and Bulls. I'm really looking forward to doing that and changing it up a little bit. Like I don't mind talking to myself. I hope I'm okay at it. I've been doing it for a very long time. All those years on the radio doing post-game shows, that's all I did was talk to myself. The callers, but you know what I mean. So it'd be cool to get that in the mix. Like the Bulls aren't any good, and Joe knows that. I've texted about that. The Rockets should win that game. It shouldn't be a problem. It's a interesting road trip. Chicago and Milwaukee. If you've not kept up with Milwaukee this year, they've been a disaster overall. We'll see what team the Rockets face when they get there on what day is that? That game is on Monday. We won't do that show. Sorry, there won't be a Rocket show Monday night because of the Texans and the Cowboys. It is what it is. They're playing at the same time. Texans are going to get the run on that one because there's just fewer games in the regular season. We'll get back to Rockets for the next game, which will be on Wednesday. They'll get back home. 3-0 homestand, by the way, for the Rockets that they just finished off. Their next homestand, hopefully they can continue to do the same. All right, well, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to join us Sunday night after Rockets and Bulls. Stay right here. Don't go too far. Put the Cougs on. Let's talk Cougars football in just a bit on the Cougs Postcast. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday or Friday night into Saturday morning. If you're unable to stay up, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you again for Rocket stuff Sunday on the Locked On Rockets Postcast.